Getting hit multiple times coming out of that bike section. More drivers coming to blows. Hello and good evening, folks. Welcome back here to Slow Motion Broadcasting, and welcome back to Ron's Race Nights here on SMB. My name is Ron Maunz, or as most people refer to me, that guy who keeps talking about falling anvils. Welcome in, folks. We have got another week of fantastic racing action to look forward to for all of you here this evening. And for week 2, we have got the action from the Radical Esports Cup at Watkins, Glen. I have been covering Radical action for as long as I've been doing iRacing broadcasting, and have it be known, folks, that these small little plucky SR10s can put on some of the best racing that I have ever had the privilege of commentating here on the iRacing platform. So I have a feeling that this race we have here this evening is set to be a barn burner. And to all of you tuning into this broadcast here on Slow Motion Broadcasting, happy to have you all here, and I hope you enjoy tonight's racing action. Just one more week from this absolutely amazing schedule that we've got to look forward to here for Ron's Race Nights. Kicked it off 1 week ago with the Formula C Fix Series action. That was at Imola. I just realized that number 1 in 21 looks very similar to 27, but nope, it was on the 21st of June that we got this season up and rolling at Imola 1 week ago, and now we keep it up and rolling here at Watkins, Glen, the 9 p.m. or 2100 EST broadcast, usually calling that the 2100 GMT broadcasted races, which have been a fixture of iRacing broadcasting, as I've said, for many, many moons, and as long as I've been doing these iRacing broadcasts and looking through the remainder of the schedule that we've got to look forward to here on SMB. Some absolutely fantastic racing action, including the Street Stocks at Martinsville in 1 week's time. So all the stuff to look forward to here on SMB, really the one-stop shop for racing action this summer. But to keep week 2 up and rolling and keep the momentum rolling from this season, we head to the Glen, Watkins Glen, one of my favorite racetracks here in the sim, one of my favorite racetracks, period. And I have a feeling we're in for a good one. Got a stacked grid of drivers here, and let's follow one right now. We're definitely not just following him because he's my boss here at Slow Motion Broadcasting. It's Mr. Joshua Wilkie. He's shown up for this top split race, and he is your current provisional pole sitter as it stands at the present moment at 141.155. That's a very good lap time from the Canadian. Let's see if that time will hold as we look through the rest of the drivers that we've got here. Some more familiar names that we have out there on track. Not a lot of them currently having times on the board. One of them ran into some difficulties, and we'll talk about him in a couple of moments' time. One driver, though, is about to maybe get a lap up and rolling is this man, Jared Forrest, in the number 17 car. Let's see as he heads his way down the hill throughout this racetrack. Such a wild ride here, Watkins Glen, but it's such a fun one here in these SR10s. Now, I've referenced this a lot. I feel like it is definitely the elephant in the room, so to speak, when it comes to my own personal iRacing broadcasting escapades. But I am the commentator for the iRacing official series, those 2100 GMT broadcasted races that, as Johnny Carson would say, you can catch on another network. So I have a lot of experience covering these SR10s, and in that race that we had a matter of a little over 24 hours ago, it was really a battle to see who could make it down into the bus stop chicane right at the end of that race. If you could get that move done into there, you were just about golden through the final remaining bit of this lap. It's a super fun racetrack, this, and let's see if anyone will be able to set some more lap times on the board in this 8-minute long qualifying session, less than 2 minutes to go. Let's see Jared Forrest come across the line now. Let's see what lap time he sets in the number 17 car, a very psychedelic number 17 car at that. He jumps up to P13. These SR10s super tough, had some off-track moments throughout that lap, but he remains qualified, currently slotted in lucky number P13. Jason Berg is a driver that we see right now, currently set to join Mr. Joshua Wilkie on the front row. We follow him right now in the number 3 car. Now, this section of the racetrack, specifically this corner, turn number 9 here at the Glen, is my personal living sleep paralysis demon. That corner, I have never been able to get right in my entire time doing iRacing, period. I was gonna say doing iRacing broadcasting. I have seen so many. There's even a pileup coming out there during the 2100 GMT broadcasted race just because of the checkup heading off through there. So rather tough configuration this, but these drivers gonna look to put on on a good race here tonight. And let's see, one more driver is looking pretty all right here. It's Christian Flag, currently slotted in P6. Let's see what the driver, the number 1, does here in qualifying. Don't believe that last lap time actually counted towards his qualifying efforts, so I believe that will be it for him. Set to start this race at the very best, P6. That's not an ideal session for him. Let's see how anybody else will be able to do. Jared Force is still out there on the racetrack, I believe. Let's follow him now, heading off through my favorite corner. And oh, yeah, that's exactly my problem. That corner is flat as a pancake. You have no elevation to help you out through there. So really, if you have an off-track excursion, you are done. There's no other way to describe it. You are done, you are toast, you are finished, you are insert phrase here. I think at this point he's just assigned to put the final nail in the coffin for those tires as he skids off the track, and we can bring to a close this qualifying session with Joshua Wilkie set to start this race from the pole position. It is going to be a rather good race here this evening, and to all of you tuning into this broadcast here on Slow Motion Broadcasting, how about you hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you never miss out on any of the racing action. Well, with all that being said, let's take a look at the starting grid for this race. It's going to be Joshua Wilkie starting this race from the pole. Starting alongside him will be the American Jason Berg in the number 3 car. Right behind them will be Robert Joe in the 7, and Van Dang starting this race in fourth. A very awesome name for the Aussie. Starting this race in fourth, fittingly, in the number 4 car. It will be Gregory Mattson starting this race in 5th alongside Christian Flag in 6th. Ezekiel Pirotto will start this race in 7th alongside Oscar Soyok in the number 8 car in P8. Bobby Ballman will start this race in 9th alongside Andres Lopez in the number 11 car in P10. Starting this race in 11th will be Dale Kranz, with Ray Batter starting alongside him. And looking through the final few starters that we've got in this grid, the list continues on with the likes of Jared Frost in P13, Mr. J.R. Gregory, Radical expert himself and driver in the Radical America Series that you can catch on another network, will start this race in 14th. Sharon Guest will start in P15, the Aussie in the number 10 car, alongside Andrew Beck in 16th. Tony Taylor will start this race in P17, rounding out your starting grid. But with all that being said, let's get ready for this race. It's going to be a fun one here this evening. Delight to have your company, and let's get up and rolling. It's Josh Wilkie leading us to green as we are up and racing. More contact going on a little bit farther in the back. It has not been a clean start at all for these racers, but Wilkie got to try and lead them comfortably down into turn number 1. Multiple drivers coming to blows. I believe the worst driver off in all of that was actually Van Dang, who had a huge incident right at the start, got tapped as very slow coming out turn number 1 up the hill. Looks like there may be some damage on that race car, but as we jump back up to the front of the field and follow Robert Joe, maybe gonna try and get moved on a Wilkie down the back stretch off into the bus stop chicane. Nope, looks like he's not gonna be able to get that move done. Wilkie remains in the race lead. That's an off-track moment for Gregory Mattson all through the turn. Oscar Soyok will round out your top 4 as it stands presently. All the drivers still rather packed in like sardines, but Josh Wilkie getting off to a flyer. Gonna try and lead this first lap as best as he can, and you can see this gap as close as these two drivers may be. Not really any sort of overtaking opportunities through this mid-sector of the track. It's hard to get a move done through here, and these drivers will certainly feel the burn of some oversteer all throughout this race. Here's Bobby Bowman, though, in the 7-Eleven car, looking to make quick work of the drivers around him. Jason Berg, he has not gone off to a good start at all, currently slotted in 6th, down 4 spots from where he started. Let's see as those two racers go side by side in front, involving Flag and Soyok, and side by side yet again with Berg and Bowman. That's going to be Berg remaining in P6, Bowman slotted in 7th. Christian Flag and Oscar Soyok, though, they have their own battle going on at the present moment, and let's see how these two drivers are going to shake out as they have spread out a little bit. For Joshua Wilkie, though, he holds on to a comfortable race lead. He's slotted in front of Robert Joe. Gregory Mattson completes your podium runners as it stands presently, but a lot of drivers have been struck by falling anvils rather early on in this race, and one of them was Van Dang, who had a big amount of drama a couple of moments ago. Saw the damage at the start of the race, very slow coming out of turn number 1, and that livery, which I believe is an old Porsche 919, I should say, tribute, and loses it down at the bottom of the hill. Super tricky corner to try and nail down there, and unfortunately for Van Dang, that'll just about do it for them in this race. But we jump back to the front of the field and follow Mr. Wilkie. He's kind of shaken off Robert Joe like a bad case of the fleas, but Joe may have a challenge on his hands with himself, and the car right behind of Gregory Mattson may end up having to worry about the number 14 driver soon, as we jump on board with him as he heads his way down into the boot section for the second time in this 16-lap long race. As we look at these drivers negotiate this first lap, I want to take a look to see the drama that happened at the very beginning of it and follow Van Dang and his perspective and all that. Yeah, you can see, looked like someone got off to a jump start. Oh, you can see the wheel spin. That's the problem with these SR10s, and saw some SR10 drivers, including Mr. James Berry in the YouTube chat, a four-time Radical champion, so he can definitely attest to this, along with myself, who's gotten some rather extensive experience driving this car in the sim. This is a car where if you don't master that wheel spin, you are in for a world of hurt, and unfortunately some drivers just really messing up the start there. Unfortunate, easy mistake to make, to be sure, but it's still a crushing one regardless when it does happen. I believe that Van Dang was not the only driver who's out of it, as Ray Batter is currently out of this race. I can't see any sort of incident for him. However, it looks like he just lost it. Here we go. That's a move heading down into turn number 1. That's Christopher Flagg. Christian Flagg. I keep calling him Christopher. I will say Christopher's his brother. But Christian Flagg getting that move done to jump his way up into the podium spots. Let's see if anybody else will be able to get a move done on him, potentially in the form of Jason Berg. You can see he's going to try and split the difference, go 3 wides. They head their way down the backstretch. This needs to get settled out really quickly. Otherwise, it's going to end in tears down into the chicane. They single file out. That was a beautifully timed run from Jason Berg. Shows you that these Radical SR10s, the slipstream is oh so strong. You could be as far back as you dare coming out of turn number 1, and you will be able to get those moves done. Let's take a look at this, because this was a stormer of a run. You can see splitting the difference, going 3 wide with these racers down the backstretch, and it works out tremendously for him. Jason Berg putting on a stormer of an overtake to get that move done. Awesome stuff for him. Awesome stuff for Wilkie, who continues to lead over Robert Joe in P2, Jason Berg in 3rd, Christian Flagg in P number 4, and Gregory Madsen rounding out your top 5. Berg, Flagg, and Madsen still involved in their own little battle as it stands at the present moment. Let's see how that may shake out between those two. But as I've been talking about that battle, I think we have another one involving the likes of J.R. Gregory, Andres Lopez, and many others. Holy cow, you can see this hornet's nest. Look at Oscar Skoyok. He's trying to withstand a challenge from Andre Lopez, who nearly went around the outside of him. Down on the exit of turn number 9, we ride on board with Andre Lopez. Let's see what the driver of the number 11 car, the Portuguese driver who's racing in the wee hours of the morning, will be able to do. We'll also note that there's been another couple of off-track moments involving Tony Taylor and Ray Batter. May need to take a look at those replays here in a couple of moments, but as these drivers head their way out of turn number 1, you are going to see this slipstream game get put on full display. Following Oscar Soyok, he's your race leader, well, your pack leader as it stands at the present moment. Not your race leader, although he's not going to be feeling like a leader at all here in a couple of moments' time. Let's jump on board with him. You can see that it may be a fight involving Gregory and Lopez. Will it turn into a 3-car battle? I have a feeling it will in the not too far off future. J.R. Gregory, though, gonna get that move done to jump his way up into P number 8. Andres Lopez slotted right behind in 9th. Ezekiel Pirotto, I don't think we've talked about it all throughout this race, currently rounds out your top 10. He's the rear gunner of this pack. We ride on board with him down into turn number 6, and let's see what the driver from Argentina will be able to do throughout the rest of this race. There's been drama going on involving many other racers, one of them being Andrew Beck, who I believe has had to tow back to pit lane as a result of this incident. There you can see him in that number 12 Crown Royal car. Looks like there's some major suspension damage on that race car. Let's take a look. I think there may have been a little bit of drama a little bit earlier on. Yes, there was. Big contact heading down the backstretch. Not sure who that was. That was the other car involved in that. May have, yeah, it was Shannon Guest involved in that drama. I'm going to take a look at this from another perspective. This time potentially, oh yeah, I'm not sure whether that was just some bump drafting gone desperately, cataclysmically wrong there or what, but Andrew Beck going to go from hero to zero in this race as a result of that drama. There he is in the pits, and that is going to take him out of contention for sure. Tough break for the driver of the number 12 car, but as we go back to the live action, follow your race leader of Wilkie, who's still looking to extend his gap between himself and Robert Joe, who's now fallen into the crutches of the likes of Jason Berg, who set the fastest lap of the race last time by at a 1 minute 40.311, and Christian Flagg in the number 1 car right there within striking distance. The drivers I want to keep my eyes on, though, are Joe and Berg. Let's see them heading their way down into the turn. Looks like that will be Robert Joe holding off to the holding off to P2 for now. However, he will have a fight on his hands to try and remain in that spot. I wonder if you're Jason Berg, what do you do in this battle? Because you've got Christian Flag right behind you. You've got Robert Joe right in front of you, who just ran a little bit wide, heading his way through the turn. That's not going to help out his cause in the slightest. Let's see as they head their way down into the turn. Here comes a dive from Jason Berg. He's going to jump his way up into P2. The driver of the number 3 car started this race in second, and he's going to get that move done yet again. Brilliant stuff from your front row sitter. Had a bit of a rough start, set the fast lap of the race last time by, and he goes into that rightful spot. Now Christian Flag looking to jump on Robert Joe as well. Things going from bad to worse for the driver of the number 7 car. He looks rather slow at the present moment. Not sure what the deal is. Has he overcooked the tires in that race car? What has happened to the American as he's now dropped down from 2nd to 4th in the span of just a single lap? You know, there are certain points in time when you're doing one of these broadcasts where you listen to yourself and it's like, man, I actually sound like a real announcer. I just don't sound like a kid yapping about race cars on the internet anymore. Funny how the brain works at certain points in time. But speaking of time, there is not a lot of time between some of these racers that we've got on screen right now. Oscar Solyok has J.R. Gregory about a quarter of a second behind him. You can see those two drivers exiting the turn. Andres Lopez, he's still involved in this battle, along with Ezekiel Pirotto. Let's see who is going to try and pounce. I have a feeling the fight will be between these two. They head their way down the backstretch, off into the bus stop. Who's going to win out in this fight between Gregory and Solyok? Looks like it's going to go the way of J.R. Gregory. Going to jump up into P7. Up now 7 spots from where he started in this race. Currently holding on to the Hard Charger Award is J.R. and you can see him right now, the American, in that number 5 car, getting off to a rather convincing start here in this race. Oscar Solyok, he's dropped down into P8, right where he started this race, so not a lot of harm or foul done for the Aussie. I mentioned a little bit earlier on involving Andre Lopez in the number 11 car, how early it probably is for him in the morning. I think for Oscar Solyok, it will probably be breakfast time for him, potentially. I'm going to look at this right now, pull up the world clock and see if I can negotiate this app on my phone whilst I'm still trying to talk on this broadcast. And hey folks, if you're enjoying this broadcast here in Slow Motion Broadcasting for week number 2 of Ron's Race Nights, how about you hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you never miss out on any of the racing action. Just realized I'm not entirely sure if that is showing on the screen at the present moment. Come on, bun, you son of a... There we go! Only took me about 15 times when we finally got that button graphic up, rolling, and ready to rock here as we look at these drivers still out there on the racetrack. The subscribe button clearly not working well with me. However, these drivers are certainly working well with their cars. Getting to the halfway mark of this race now, and we still got some good battles going on, one of which involving these two. It's Jason Berg and Christian Flag. They head their way out of the S's onto the backstretch. Let's see what Christian Flag is going to do. Will he pounce? I think he probably will. He can right on board with the driver of the number 1 car, heading down into the bus stop. Looks like Jason Berg will hold on to that spot for now. However, he has got that bright magenta. Is that magenta? Is that just a very odd purplish pink? I was never gray in art class as a kid. But Christian Flag still holding on to P3 at the present moment, up 3 spots from where he started in this race. And just to wrap on the point I was raising a few moments ago, it's 9:24 a.m. in Perth, so exactly 12 hours removed from where I am right now on the east coast of the U.S. And Sydney, it's currently 11:24 a.m. So some morning to late morning racing action is the name of the game for Oscar Solyok. And hey, he's making his appearance here on Slow Motion Broadcasting. Not sure if he's aware of that fact, but hey, if he is, and hey, if you're tuning into this broadcast, Oscar, welcome in, and hope you're enjoying the show up to this point in time. Josh Wilkie is still holding on to the race lead. He's all by himself presently, feeling rather quiet at the present moment. In fact, I think when we ride on board with this car, we may be able to hear the bird song of upstate New York. Let's listen in. Nope, I'm pretty sure what you can listen to there is the roar of one of the Ford EcoBoost engines in one of these Radical SR10s. They put down a lot of power. These cars are super, super quick. I mean, I'm not sure exactly what sort of lap time some of the pros have been tracking for the iRacing Watkins Glen 6 hours as of recent. However, these SR10s, they can put on some very good lap times, and you know, they don't sound too terrible either. There are some people who used to broadcast this series that said these cars sounded ugly as sin. I personally think they sound pretty alright, but you know, that's just me. Opinions are like noses. We all have them, and sometimes someone annoys you so much that you really want to punch them in their opinion. Following Jason Berg, currently slotted in P2, still holding on to the fast lap of the race at the present moment. However, the lap statistic I want to look at here is actually these drivers' last laps. Let's take a look at here. So Josh Wilkie, he is running consistent, just set his personal best lap of the race last time by. Gregory Madsen set his personal best, along with the likes of Oscar Soyok, Andreas Lopez, currently slotted in P9, and Andrew Beck and Van Dang, who have both rejoined this race, albeit multiple laps down as a result of some drama a little bit earlier on in the race. So you can see these drivers trying to manage their stuff here in these SR10 races. These are not smooth cars, and this is not a smooth track. You really have to push the limits in these SR10s. You know, actually, I think... Oh! Okay, so Jason Berg briefly hit 88 miles an hour there. He briefly went back to medieval times. Actually, no, he went back to 1970. He was driving around this track alongside Jackie Stewart in preparation for that year's U.S. Grand Prix. But he's back on the racetrack now, currently slotted in P2. I want to do an onboard lap, if we can, with Mr. Josh Wilkie holding on to the race lead at the present moment. Let's follow him in the wild ride here at Watkins, Glen for a couple of moments. You can hear that car skidding as he comes out of the bus stop. The inner loop, I guess, is a technical term, and the term that follows it is the outer loop, but I always like to call it the bus stop chicane. It just feels more fitting. But as he headed his way out of there, you can just hear the screeching of the tires on these SR10s. These SR10 tires, I wouldn't say they're rocks. However, what I would say is that a rock and a tire on an SR10 in one of these official races wear down just about as much. If not, I think probably the rocks would wear down a little bit more. These cars, they do not eat up the tires too much. In some of the old Radical League races, whether it be the European or America's Championship, with a lot of these drivers participate in, and I commentate on the America side of things. That was a very subtle play. That was about as slick as 80 grit sandpaper. But these tires don't wear out very quick. I think that's part of the reason why they can put on as good racing as they do. However, some drivers may feel the burn in more ways than one. I think one driver that may have been struck by a falling anvil was Oscar Soyok. Let's follow him. This was rather early on into this lap. I think it may have been some side-by-side racing with himself and Andre Lopez that ends in tears. I don't know why I turned it to Mike Tyson there for a goal! Contact being made with himself and Andre Lopez. Contact at the turn. Looked like Andres Lopez really tried to bump and run. Let's ride on board with him and his perspective in this drama. Let's actually sit on the nose of the car of Andre Lopez, and we'll be able to see all of this go on. And here we go. Out of the turn, you can see the pace differential, a beautiful view of the inner machinations of the rear end of one of these SR10s. Contact being made, and unfortunate there for both of those racers to get caught out in all that. Obviously, the driver most hurt by that is definitely going to be your at 1 point P8 runner of Oscar Soyok, currently slotted down in 10th at the present moment, as Andres Lopez is running well farther up the road, currently slotted in P9. Well, we are getting into crunch time in this race, that much is apparent, and starting to see these drivers turn up the wick a little bit. One driver certainly has is Christian Flagg, who not only set his personal best lap of the race last time by, but set the fastest lap of the race last time by at a 1-minute 40.222. So Christian Flagg, I think he is peaking at the right time, turning up the wick, and trying to get a good result out of the end of this race. And a good lesson to any broadcasters out there, especially if you're producing and commentating a show by yourself. Remember to have some water on standby. That's always a good thing to have right alongside you. I will say, though, I think this racing is really starting to flare up at the front. Jason Berg last time by set the best lap of the race. Not his best lap of the race, the best lap of the race. A 1-minute 40.158. And I have a feeling that Mr. Joshua Wilkie may be feeling a bit more pressure now than he has in the earlier stages. That's one thing to mention about these cars. The conditions can change so easily in these races, so you may be feeling good at the start, but when you get towards the end, those mistakes start to pile up. That may be when you start to feel a little bit of trouble. Last time by, Josh, not too bad when it comes to pace, saying a 1-minute 40.666, but Jason Berg was about a half a second quicker than him last time by, and it looks like that driver, the number 3 car, is going to try and keep that momentum rolling throughout the rest of this race. So let's see how he may be able to do. Currently holding on to the race lead still is Wilkie. However, one driver, I can't tell whether this is karma or whether this is just an easy mistake to make. Andres Lopez has had a moment of his own. Let's take a look at this as he heads his way through the final turn. Looks rather quick into it, hits that inside curb in a rather dramatic fashion. Coming out of it, I don't think we see any sort of drama yet. Okay, so that right there was a mechanical failure. I believe, unfortunately, very easy thing to have happen when you're running a little bit farther in the back than you had in mind. Fortunately there for Andre Lopez, I believe his give-a-damn broke. That is unfortunate to have happen at this point of the race, but hey, it's a world of motorsports. Stuff like that can happen between the start of the race and the end of the race. It's tough. Again, there's only so much you can do to try and prevent it. Jason Berg, though, he's setting a cooker. Last time by, the first driver in this race to break into the 139s, a 139.8. Is that an 857? Yes, an 857. There we go. Looking on a small little single monitor to try and read out these numbers. It's like I'm looking at out-of-focus hieroglyphics. I feel like I'd be better off even doing this show without my glasses on. Actually, you know what? Let's try that. There are some blobs moving around the screen. I don't really know what the deal is. See, if I had a camera hooked up for these broadcasts, I think you'd probably be able to tell that I took my glasses off, but no, I don't, so you can't. Anyways, Josh Wilkie is holding on to the race lead presently. Jason Berg slotted in P2, and the gap between these racers is just about nothing. We'll also say one driver who was maybe thinking about getting involved in this, but certainly lost out on some time, is this man, the number 1 car of Christian Flagg. Currently slotted in 3rd, up 3 spots from where he started in this race, and really don't think there is a path forward for him to do well. Right now, though, I think the main attention is going to be on this man. The P2 runner in the number 3 car who wants to grab P number 1 is Jason Berg. He set his best lap of the race, the best lap of the race last time by, and I have a feeling that he may try and get this move done in the not too far off future. You can see how close these two are, heading their way off through the final series of corners to complete lap number 12 and start lap number 13. Lucky number lap 13. Will it be good for the driver of the 3, or will it be good for your race leader of Wilkie in the number 2? As they head their way down the start finish straight away, who's going to be able to come out as a beneficiary in this? Head their way down into the turn, still running nose to tail. However, Josh Wilkie, he has got a real tough task on his hands to try and withstand this challenge from Jason Berg. We're going to jump to an onboard shot here of Wilkie. He can only do so much, but Jason Berg, he's got the run, he's got the momentum. He pulls out to the outside, heading down into the chicane. Let's see Berg in the number 3 car trying to hold on to this move. He gets it done around the outside into the turn. Jason Berg jumps up into the race lead. Josh Wilkie, now he's going to be on the attack. One thing that I saw on that Friday 2100 GMT broadcasted race over on another network is the fact that you can start this race at the front, run at the front all throughout it, but if you start the final lap in first, you're probably not going to lead it coming out of the bus stop. If you don't lead out of there, there's really no overtaking opportunity unless your driver has a major trip up. You're going to be done for. So honestly, at this point in time, I like the spot that Mr. Wilkie's in. Let's see what he'll be able to do. Currently slotted in P2. Jason Berg, though, holding on to the race lead now, and let's run on board with him for a couple of moments as he heads his way off through the final sector. You can see from the wonderful SMB gyro cam. Oh, that was a big moment. Coming out of the turn, Jason Berg trying to get a little little bit of a wiggle on coming out of it, and that is not a good moment to have for sure. I don't think you don't need to be a rocket scientist to know that having a sideways snap coming out of a turn around a racetrack is not going to do you well when it comes to that good old name of speed. So who's it going to be at the end of this race, getting into crunch time and getting to the point where these two have broken away from the rest of the pack? Christian Fleig, who you can barely see in the back of shots in that number 1 car, I don't really think he's there. I don't think he's able to contend with these racers. It's currently the car number 1, and then the car number 2, then the car number 3, running in P1, P2, and P3 respectively. Interesting how that sort of stuff works. You got the car numbers reversed in terms of the spots they're running in. I definitely have some very odd machinations in my mind based off the fact I look at the live timing screen we've got right now. That's immediately what pops into my head. One driver, though, who I think is really putting in some good performances at the present moment is their hard charger, Mr. J.R. Gregory. Currently slotted in P7, up 7 spots from where he started in this race. The hard charger by a pretty significant margin. The closest driver in terms of spots gained is actually Sharon Guest, who we see right now in this very nice black and gold scheme. The Aussie in the number 10 car, currently up 4 spots from where they started in this race. Let's see if they'll be able to gain some more. It's a little bit farther up the road to find the American of Jared Forrest, so I don't really think we'll see a swaparoo between those racers for that +4 for Guest to turn into a +5, but hey, I've seen stranger things. I'm not talking about the show on Netflix. Oh, Jason Berg just got abducted again. That is not an ideal moment to have for sure, and for Josh Wilkie, that's not an ideal moment to have either. You've got a car who's blinking wildly in and out of existence at certain points in time. It always seems to be heading through that section of the racetrack that I hate more than anything, so hey, maybe even Jason Berg's sim is saying, you know what? I'm good. I don't want to partake in turn number 9 and its goofiness. I'm just going to skip out and send myself back into the Neolithic period. Thank you very much. But now, Wilkie, he's going to be in that catbird seat. You can see that run and the momentum heading up the hill. He lifts out of it, though. You could hear that car just, yep, you hear it once again. Wilkie, he's playing that smart game. Come to the white flag this upcoming time by, and I think what Wilkie's doing at the present moment is trying to apply some pressure to the back of Jason Berg, not giving a bump and run, just try and pressure him into a mistake. I think that's a strategy that can work rather well here at the Glen. A rather long racetrack, a rather challenging one as well, with lap times in the case of Jason Berg just barely below 1 minute 40, or in the case of Wilkie in the 140s, as close as you can get to 140 even. In fact, last time by was able to set his personal best lap of the race at a 140.009. So talk about peaking at the right time. It's actually a little bit quicker than Jason Berg last time by, so we may end up having to talk about Josh Wilkie giving Berg a challenge and being a bit of a thorn in the side to him at the end of this race. I think he has a good shot to get it done. They had their way through turn number 9 for the seconds last time in this race. Jason Berg running a little bit wide out of the turn. I think it's going to be a game of chicken between those drivers heading down into turn number 1. I mentioned this a lot when it comes to these slipstream races here on Slow Motion Broadcasting. I end up seeing a parking lot festivity sort of thing transpire to see who can pick up that slipstream and who cannot, and I think we may end up seeing that here. You can see Wilkie pulling out. He doesn't want to get good of enough run on him to make a move down to turn number 1. That's a smart call for him to play. Let's see these drivers as they come out of the turn. Josh Wilkie got to try and hold on to that run and save up that run. You can see he pulls out of the line heading through 2, now up the hill. He goes into the draft. Jason Berg got to look to try and defend the inside line, but Wilkie got to look to try and get the move done that Berg put on him. Side by side into the bus stop, and Wilkie's gonna get the move done. That's Josh Wilkie jumping up into the race lead. The driver, the number 2, started this race at the front. He jumps back up to the front. Now Jason Berg has to worry about whether or not he has the ability to be able to make something work. Got a lap car a little bit farther up the road. That, I believe, unless I am very much mistaken, is the driver that we saw involved in some drama a little bit earlier on in this race. I believe that is Andrew Beck. Yes, it is. Will he affect this battle? Hopefully not. You can see Wilkie and Berg covered by just about nothing, heading their way up through the top end of the racetrack for the final time. Who's going to be able to get this move done? Will Berg be able to get a move done on Wilkie at the very end of this race? They head their way into turn number 9, single file. Jason Berg, I think he got that move done in rather spectacular fashion, but he should have done that move a little bit later than he did. Some drama involving Gregory Madsen and Robert Joe going on a little bit farther beyond. I think there's been some drama there, multiple collisions. We'll have to cut to that in a couple of moments. As you can see, Jason Berg trying to do everything in his power to jump into the race lead, but it's not going to be enough. Joshua Wilkie going to grab the win for week number 2 for Ron's Race Nights with the Radical Esports Cup action at Watkins Glen. Joshua Wilkie gets the job done. Jason Berg going to be slotted in P2. Christian Flagg will round out your podium in 3rd. But as that drama was going on in the front, there was some more right behind involving Gregory Madsen, and also, I believe, some more drivers involved in that may have potentially been Robert Joe. Let's see. They had their way down into the turn. You can see the number 14 car of Madsen getting contact. It's himself and the 7 of Robert Joe that come to blows down to the turn, and oh no, that was a clumsy incident to have happen. Unfortunately for Bobby Bowman and the number 13, he's going to get taken out of that. You can see the damage on that race car. The front clip still remains on. It's doing a little bit of a shimmy sham to remain on that race car. You just see it barely hanging on, virtually by the skin of its teeth. Just see it sliding around. See, that's his way around the final few corners. One beneficiary in all that was Mr. Jared Gregory. I said that I think he had to just remain in the spot that he was and just be content with gaining 7 spots from the drop of the green all the way through to the fall of the checkered. No, in that drama, he gained 9. So absolutely tremendous stuff for those racers, but the one driver is probably the most pleased about his result at the end of the day is Mr. Josh Wilkie. He gets it done at the end of it here for Ron's Race Nights on Slow Motion Broadcasting, week number 2 action. And hey, folks, we've got a tremendous schedule to look forward to here on SMB. Just looking through, in 1 week's time, going to be running the Street Stocks at Martinsville, the Legends Road Course Cup going to be making their appearance at Knock Hill, and then the Radical Esports Cup will be returning here to SMB with the action from week number 5 at Thruxton. Gives you a very good reason to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you never miss out on any of the racing action. That perfectly covers up week number 12 for the Formula C Fix Series at Road America, I should say, and the Skip Barber action at Interlagos. But what it's been able to do is allow me to let you all know that at the end of this race, your winner is going to be our very own Mr. Joshua Wilkie. He wins it in front of your P2 finisher of Jason Berg. Christian Flagg will round out your podium in 3rd. It's going to be Robert Joe finishing in 4th. J.R. Gregory in 5th. Bobby Bowman will finish in 6th in front of Ezekiel Peroto in the number 9 car, finishing in 7th. Oscar Solyok will finish in 8th in front of Jared Forst in 9th. And Sharon Guest rounding out your top 10. You can see Dale Kranz finishes in P11, one of only a few drivers in this race who finished in the same spot that he oh boy, worse time to get the hiccups. Finished in the exact same spot that he started in. So well done to Dale Kranz. Gregory Madsen will finish this race in 12th after that drama right towards the end. Andrew Beck will finish in P13. Van Dang will finish in 14th. Ray Bader in 15th. Andre Lopez in P16 with Tony Taylor, who had a rather hectic race in his own regard, rounding out your field. So that's how it shakes out at the very end of it all here on Slow Motion Broadcasting from the action from week number 2 of Ron's Race Nights here on SMB. And to all of you tuning into this broadcast, I hope you have enjoyed the racing action, and if you have, how about you hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you don't miss out on any of the racing action, which was certainly strong here today. But we got one driver looking to have a chat with us, and it's my old friend in the Radical world, Mr. J.R. Gregory, joining me in the commentary booth. JR, welcome in, and hello to Mr. Wilkie as well. The gang's all here, the old Radical crew. It feels rather odd that you two are here in the booth with me. I'm the only one that's actually doing the show. So, gentlemen, how was it out there? You both had some very good races, the winner and the hard charger here.
Oh, right on. I was going to ask, how'd you do?
Well, I'll tell you, and if anybody wants to really get the details and get the technique of this, it's not easy to do. So check out my Twitch stream, Flying Lion Racing. But I managed not to set a qualifying time, so I started DFL, which in racing parlance is definitely far from the lead. Got a pretty good start, and down the stretch, I saw a couple of guys fighting in front of me, and I was like, you know, if those guys eat it, I could get in the top 5, and lo and behold, that's what happened. So that's how my race went.
Excellent, right on. Yeah, glad to hear it. Yeah, I noticed you didn't get a qualifying in there, but sorry, go ahead, Ron.
Yeah, and I was just gonna say, JR, I was wondering why you didn't say qualifying time, because I saw you started one lap and then just stopped from there. I also gotta say, that was an absolutely, I can't tell whether it's tremendous or a horrendous plug in terms of your own Twitch channel there.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, oh, and there's the start. Thanks for the replay. That was awesome. So did Josh get P1 out of that?
That he did.
I did.
It was a good battle.
Oh, nice.
Josh, it was a very good battle with yourself and Jason Berg towards the end. He pounced on you with about 3 laps left to go, and you're able to get that move done down into the bus stop at the very end. So happy to talk us through how that race was for you.
Yeah, I'm still kind of coming to terms with this car a little bit. It's really edgy. I really like it. This thing makes you feel like a superhero everywhere. It's such a fun car to drive. It just, you hustle it and it just makes you feel like you're achieving so much everywhere. But I just feel like I'm on the edge a ton. So kind of mid-race, I bled off just a bit, and you know, I probably came back to about 85%, keeping it actually probably around 90 because he's keeping me pretty honest out there. But he started to catch me. I basically just I kind of resigned myself to the fact that he was going to get by me there, and then waited till the last lap and basically just blew his doors off. It's fairly easy down the straight to the bus stop there, as long as you're up close, to just blow anybody's doors off. And you know, Berg played ball with me there, so big big thanks to him for not getting weird. A lot of these online races, they just won't let you pass sometimes, and no, he was a great racer out there, so good times. Yeah, that's pretty much how it went out though. I really like this track and this car. It just meshed with me this week for some reason. I've never been very fast around here. I seem to have figured something out.
I gotta say, these races all throughout this week here at Watkins Glen has been rather interesting. Had a pretty good race on Friday on another network. Had a pretty good one here tonight. These cars, I mean, all of us gentlemen can really attest to the fact that these cars just put on some really good racing running around here as well, with that slipstream opportunity down into the bus stop. I gotta wonder, guys, how terrifying it would be if we were running on the cup layouts, so we skipped out on the booth section entirely.
Yeah, I'll let you take that one, JR.
Yeah, I think that'd be pretty interesting, man. And you know, these cars are kind of on the, in terms of the velocity coming through there. These cars are on the level of the cars that were running in the 70s when they stopped running that layout. And I'm going to say it was a 956 going off at the end there, and fatality that causes them to install the bus stop. So right. I'm probably not watching it live, but right here where you see Josh coming around the carousel after the bus stop, and yeah, it would be terrifying. This is a trail braking car, so you'd be trail braking in deep into 6th gear. They have a lot of downforce, but if you start to overheat the tires, they'll snap on you without warning. And I think from the clouds of smoke I saw both ahead of me and in my rearview mirror, probably saw a few people caught out by that tonight.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with all of that, I think, for sure. It's yeah, definitely. This place, the starts too seem to be a problem for some people, maybe not clutching in this car, it seems to be. I'm not sure everybody's ready sometimes in these official races for a stop start. It looks like JR, you got a good one. I got a good one too. Yeah, awesome though. Love these things, man. I think that's a good way to put it. They're just like, feel like old tube frame, just analog machines that want to kill you. It's a lot of fun.
And to touch on the point that he raised a couple of moments ago, JR, I believe it was, the name just popped out of my head. JD McDuffie it was in the NASCAR Cup race here back in 1991. Went off the track there after his wheel broke down to the turn, and that's the reason why they put in the bus stop. That along with Tommy Kendall, I believe, back when he was still running IMSA, broke his leg with a crash down in there as well after a rather similar mechanical failure, if my memory serves me correctly. But gentlemen, I'm going to ask the both of you one more question. JR, I'll ask you the first one here. You've got the action from the Radical Americas series coming up in about 24 hours over on another network. Those races are 60 minutes long, so I want to ask you how it is kind of getting some tea time here in these official races to help you out for those Americas ones.
You know, I think it's really important to, I've been getting a lot of seat time in preparation for that race run, and I think it's important for a couple of reasons. One is, I think it's anytime you can practice a start in these things, you would benefit from that. And pro tip, kids, I don't care about your fancy clutch, fight points, and all that stuff. If you're in the back of the grid where I was, put it in first gear, watch for the light, and when the light turns green, max the throttle. And you saw what that did for me. I picked up 6 spots before the first turn. So don't overthink the start. And the other thing, Ron, is, you know, and we talk about this at a lot of these draft heavy tracks like Watkins, Glen, and like Spa. You know that you're going to get the draft. The easy play as a defender is to cover to the inside. And so you have to learn to make the outside move into the bus stop. And that is another really, really valuable thing about getting seat time out here prior to a league race at Watkins Glen. You have to learn to deal with people who defend on the inside and making something happen on the outside. And that takes practice, and it takes a whole different line, a whole different approach. And that's one of the most critical things about seat time around here for me.
Definitely important to get some seat time here in these SR10s. As you've said for many a moon, JR, mastery of this SR10 will make you better in just about anything you drive here in the sim, and looking forward to seeing you out here on this exact same racetrack in about 24 hours time over on another network. For now, though, stay tuned with all the action here on Slow Motion Broadcasting, and see some other slow motion racing paint schemes out there, Josh. I can see that Slow Motion Broadcasting livery, though. You want to run through some of the stuff we've got coming up? I'm going to put you on the fly without the graphic.
Yeah, absolutely, sure. So yeah, this weekend, of course, we have our Weekend Warrior shows coming up. Tomorrow, actually, I believe we're headed to Red Bull Ring, I think, in both classes, FF and in SRF. And then, of course, Tuesdays we have our SRG shows. That's the F4s. And on Wednesdays we have the F3s. Also coming up really soon, we have some USRA special event coming up really soon. There's to be some cash prizes. That's going to be a really cool one. More details to come with that, and we'll get some thumbnails and some cool graphics and stuff, and really, really cool group of people there we're going to be doing a few events with, so keep your ear to the ground for that one as well. Lots of stuff coming up.
And I'll get the line out. Gives you a very good reason to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you never miss out on any of the racing action here on Slow Motion Broadcasting. Well, gentlemen, congratulations, Josh, on the victory, and congratulations, JR, on being the hard charger at the end of this race. And I'll let you guys get on with the rest of your evenings out there on the West Coast. I'm going to go and immediately pass out after the show is done. You guys probably have some dinner to get to.
Thank you, sir. Have a good one.
Yeah.
Right on, Ron.
Cheers.
Love the show.
Cheers, man. Yeah, good job, Ron.
Yep. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, good job.
Oh boy, nah, I dragged the boss out of the booth too early. Oh man, I'm gonna get fired. Oh man. Alrighty, folks. So for my farewell show here on Slow Motion Broadcasting, we'll run the graphic yet again. Subscribe so you'll see someone else broadcasting Ron's race nights here. Ron Weasley, which is what I was called for many, many moons by many, many people, and should be noted at this point in time here on this broadcast that if you are enjoying the racing action, both you should probably hit that subscribe button and the notification bell. Should probably let you know that this broadcast here for Ron's Race Nights, week in and week out, is a publicly funded iRacing Top Split broadcast, funded by all of you who have the ability to tune into these broadcasts. If you'd like to donate to make Ron's Race Nights possible and bring this great racing action to Slow Motion Broadcasting week in and week out, if you can please scan that Ko-Fi QR code and donate to me personally, I would greatly, greatly appreciate it, and I'm sure you would be able to enjoy the rest of the action that we've got here from this season, because have it be known, we are absolutely stacked in terms of the schedule. Of course, next week we'll be able to see the action from the street stocks at Martinsville. That'll air exactly the same time here on Slow Motion Broadcasting, and the next time you'll be able to see some radical Esports Cup action will be at Thruxton in 2 weeks time after that on July the 19th. Next time you'll see me here on Slow Motion Broadcasting is going to be tomorrow with the Weekend Warriors. That's always some good racing action, as Mr. Wilkie just said. That will be from the Red Bull Ring, so it gives you a very good reason to tune in tomorrow. But as for this broadcast here tonight, for week number 2 of Ron's Race Nights on SMB with the Radical Esports Cup at Watkins Glen, that will do it. So for myself, Ron Maunz, working the comms and the cams with myself on this broadcast, I say thank you all so very much for tuning in to Ron's Race Nights week number 2 here at Watkins Glen, and we hope to see you all for that street stocks action at not Watkins Glen. Let me try that one again. We hope to see you all for that street stocks action at Martinsville in 1 week's time. Take care, folks. We'll see you all next week. Good night.